Naidu, and welcome to the launch of the Photonics prototyping facility. I'd like to welcome our in-house guests, as well as I'd like to welcome the guests via live streaming. Before we begin, I'd like to give a safety demonstration. In the unlikely event of an emergency, an alarm will sound throughout the building. The CSR staff will give instructions on the evacuation. Please stay calm and only take the belongings that you can carry. Do not use the elevator during the evacuation. Please walk in an orderly manner and please do not run. CSR staff will lead you to an emergency exit and then to an assembly point outside. Please do not return to the building until it has been declared safe to do so. In line with COVID-19 regulations, please wear a mask at all times. Please keep a distance of at least 1.5 meters from other attendees. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers are available at all entrances, as well as throughout the facility. Soap and disposable tissues are available in all bathrooms, and natural air ventilation will be used where possible, and please do not switch on any air cons. I'd now like to welcome the CSIR CEO, Dr. Thulani Dlamini, to provide welcoming and introductory remarks on the context of the launch in the broader CSR strategy.
Thank you very much, Darrell. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and a very warm welcome to all of you to the launch of the Photonics prototyping facility. Some of you will know, in most cultures, when you're having an event like the one that we are having today, it is very important that you ensure that you invite your elders to the event. Otherwise, whatever you're trying to do might not be a success. So I'm very delighted today that we have an elder of the National Laser Center present with us in the person of Dr. Phil Mjwakga. Some of you might know this, but some of you might not know this, that Dr. Mjwakga is one of the pioneers who was instrumental in the establishment of the National Laser Center with a few other colleagues who are still present here at the NLC. I cannot see some of them here today. And he was very, very instrumental in terms of the creation of this facility, and has always been a very strong supporter of the growth of laser and photonics research within South Africa. So we're very grateful to have you here with us this morning, Dr. Mjwakga. Of course, he's here today as the Director General of the Department of Science and Innovation. In fact, he actually led the Laser Center for quite some time before moving on to much more bigger and important things. So Dr. Mjwakga, welcome to you. And also welcome to the executives of the Department of Science and Innovation, Mr. Patel and Dr. Mofe. Welcome to both of you and other DSI colleagues who are joining via the live stream platform. I also want to welcome the executives of the CSIR present here, Dr. Maseremole, as well as those joining via live stream as well, and the CSR colleagues who are also participating in this event and watching through the live stream program. Also, I want to acknowledge the presence of our partners from industry, particularly Mr. Benjamin Hlophe, who is the CEO of Kutleng Engineering Technologies, as well as Mr. Marius van Millen, who is the CEO of Additive Solutions. We're grateful for your participation in this event and, of course, for your support of this particular initiative. I think those of you who read the Bible will be familiar with the phrase, "Let there be light." I think today, in a way, this passage is coming through in terms of what we are trying to do today. because the facility that we are launching today will bring light and will bring life to the photonics industry within South Africa, which is still fairly nascent in terms of its development, despite the many opportunities and applications that photonics have. Some of you will know this in manufacturing, in health, in communications, in R&D itself, and many other applications of photonics. And I think if we do a proper introspection in South Africa, it's fair to say perhaps we have not been able to grasp these opportunities to the extent that we can. And hopefully, a facility like the one that we are doing today will leapfrog us in terms of ensuring that we become a meaningful player in this sector. And I think one of the things that we need to think about very critical is the extent to which we are going to use a facility like this one to drive the conversation around the localization of technologies and the substitution of the technologies that we import from other parts of the world. So we can create a level of independence, of course, taking into account, I think, what South Africa has to offer in terms of this particular sector. I think photonics, as I said, has many, many applications. And I think it was with this realization that in the new strategy of the CSIR, we expanded the scope of the National Laser Center beyond just lasers. And we actually renamed the center the Photonics Center. I think taking into account the fact that I think there's a lot more that one can do and achieve in the utilization of light. I think this facility really represents an opportunity for us to stimulate the local photonics industry, to drive the commercialization of the intellectual property that has been generated over many years by the public sector and the private sector, to a point where we can see the real impact of the investments that have been made in research, development, and innovation in the country. This facility represents one of 5 that the Department of Science and Innovation has invested in within the CSIR as part of the department's drive to stimulate economic development, to drive industrial development, and to drive the commercialization of technologies in the different fields in which we operate. Pardon me for that, I have to switch this off. Excuse me. I should have put it on silent, so if your phone is not on silent, I think you should learn from my mistake and put it on silent. Let me just do this. Pardon me for that. So it's one of the 5 facilities that has been created within the CSR to drive this ambition of the Department of Science and Innovation. I think what one can expect from this facility is that you'll be able to have access to expertise, to infrastructure, world-class infrastructure that has been created to support the development and the prototyping and upscaling of the various products that our partners will be working on with us. We would not have been able to achieve what we have achieved today without the support of the Department of Science and Innovation. I think the visionary leadership and the commitment to ensure that science and innovation brings about a difference in terms of industrial development is really, really applauded on the part of the department. We also want to thank all our partners who have responded to the calls that we've set out to participate in this facility. So we're grateful for that. When you look forward to even more partnerships and engagements with yourselves, I think as we grow what this facility has to offer. So with those very short words, I would like to welcome all of you again and hope that you'll enjoy your time with us today. Thank you very much.
We would now like to showcase a video of the overview of the photonics prototyping facility.
The Department of Science and Innovation and CSIR's Photonics Prototyping Facility was established as South Africa's first industry support research facility to fast-track and support the development of South African-developed photonics-based prototype products. of South African developed, hosted by the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in Pretoria. The facility offers world-class infrastructure and expertise for the use by South African industries, SMMEs, and organizations to prototype a wide array of photonic products and devices. Through this initiative, the CSIR aims to support and grow the photonics industry in South Africa.
Photonics is a field that aims to generate, manipulate, and detect photons, particles of light. Photonics applications have revolutionized 21st century science and engineering. This includes defense and security, optical fiber communications, medical applications, as well as sensing and imaging. This not only signifies the economic importance of photonics, but its potential to address many of the current societal challenges, both globally and in South Africa.
Since its establishment, the CSIR has recorded several applications. One of the projects focuses on optical coherent tomography for the 3D extraction of fingerprints. The device is capable of extracting both the internal or subdermal and external or surface fingerprint, thus removing the possibility of spoofing the detection system. The technology has applications in banks, mortuaries, and forensic service facilities.
This facility is extremely important for the manufacturing industry because if you want to modernize our industry, then it's inevitably going to involve photonic systems. Whether that is a very high power laser system that welds or cuts or additive manufactures some of your parts, or camera systems, or laser tracking systems, or laser systems measuring your parts, all of these are or will be developed within this facility.
The facility works closely and collaborates with institutions, individual scientists, engineers, and SMMEs. Collaborators use the facilities and expertise at low consumable costs.
There's a lot of resources that we don't have access to in our company that's not available in the country. And a facility like the Photonics facility help us to get access to all the clean rooms, the equipment, measuring techniques, and resources as well in terms of their manpower and the large amount of experience they have in developing optical systems and testing their systems. And it allows us to build new machines in South Africa, create a new machine building market that will allow us to export product while keeping the development costs low for us.
The CSIR envisions the photonics market as one of the drivers for South Africa's economic growth, leading to job creation, skills development, and increased revenue.
The support has benefited Kutling largely because we are still a developing company, and the type of expertise that we were provided by the PPF, we can't really afford them at the moment. This program assists us to actually have better access to the skills and the expertise.
I'd now like to call on Mr. Imran Patel, the Deputy Director General of the Department of Science and Innovation, to give us an address from the DSI.
Good morning to everyone present, the in-house guests and participants, and the many people who are watching the PPF launch through streaming and other means. This presentation was supposed to have been done originally by the Director General, but as Tulani highlighted, there's a lot of history and time is of the essence. So there was a fear that the DG may take many, many hours to share with you the long history of the National Laser Center and how it interfaces with the development and the maturation of the innovation system, which we're very proud of and are positioning it to extend growth. So he asked me to do the honors so that I can try to keep to 10 minutes. The problem is I also have a lot to say, so hopefully I will still keep to the 10 minutes that's been allocated to us. So the first key point is this center is part of a package, as Thulani highlighted. I think about 3-4 years back, we launched the nanotechnology facility just around the corner, the biorefinery facility, which is based in KZN, the biomanufacturing industry development center, also on this campus. So it's part of a package of facilities that, when it first arose, in terms of thinking about taking this forward, it was quite obvious that we needed this kind of facility. There was a gap between the translation, the R&D, the capabilities, the skills, and creating economic opportunity. Based on the statistics and the feedback we've been getting around the performance of the other centers, it has been an investment that has been well worth it. We are using these to grow new sectors, to build new industries, new industrial bases. So we hope that the challenge is on for the Photonics prototyping facility to do the same, to match the kind of performance that we've been achieving with a package of industrial centers. The industrial centers concept is also crucial for the economic recovery and reconstruction program that I think a lot of people have been hearing about. There's a number of pillars that underpin that. Two key pillars are the localization pillar and the growth and industrialization pillar, which includes the localization effort. But for me, the center has an important role to play both. Sometimes when we talk about M&E and a number of these things, we forget that there are differences in the words. The recovery and the reconstruction are in fact two very different ideas. My personal view is that we're very strong on the recovery elements, which is good, but we need to make sure that we strengthen the reconstruction effort. And a facility like this is clearly much more focused in the reconstruction. The photonics industry is a new one. We need to find ways in government as well with the pressures that are on to address the current challenges, to make sure that we keep our eye on the medium to the long term. And I'm hoping that this center, together with the many other centers, will feature a lot more stronger as we talk about the economic recovery and reconstruction program as we mature and develop these facilities. Currently, the focus is on getting our energy supply right, etc. And those are crucial. The building blocks are crucial. But by the time the reconstruction debate becomes much more important, we should be ready with our case studies, with our success measures, with whatever else is being achieved through these centers. And I will just talk through some of what I think from a DSI perspective, aligned with the decadal plan, are challenges that this facility and other facilities need to identify. The facility is also part of the new organizational, CSR's organizational strategy. And I know Thulani didn't say much because we had the rebranding, the relaunch. So sometimes it's important for a third party to re-emphasize the message. We're really excited about that strategy. It's taken a long time in coming together, in gelling. It's issues that we've been talking to the CSR for many years now around how to balance the industrial research with the scientific research. We think we have a very good strategy in that. This facility, together with a lot of other things that are happening, whether it's the partnerships with industry, whether it's the working much more closer with government, not just on industrial research, because I think sometimes a name makes it difficult, but when I think of industrial research, I think about applications research in a sense. It should have been care instead of industrial research, because the work that the CSR is doing in government, supporting government with a whole range of efforts around COVID are equally important. It's about social and economic development. So we're very keen and excited about the new organizational strategy, and we hope that the investments we've made in this facility helps, particularly around the lessons and the learnings. A lot of this is new ground, new territory again for us. I mean, we had a period of strong R&D-led industrial development in the 60s and the 70s. We started consolidating, changing how the innovation system. We in a brave new world where it's about small-scale industries, and we need to evolve the models, and the approach. And I think facilities like this, in the way they design, how they fund, how they funded, how do they bring in partners, how do they provide support to the SMMEs, firstly for emerging businesses on a free basis, but then eventually becoming commercially successful, are things that we need to jointly learn, and we look forward to those lessons that are coming up. I want to end off by just re-emphasizing some key requirements, particularly to the leadership of the Photonics Institute and the CSR leadership. These may be obvious, but it's very important for government departments to continuously stress this. The first is the critical need for transformation. And when we talk about transformation, it's a multidimensional concept for us. It's not just in terms of the leadership and the research cohort in the center, which we need to see how this center is building that capability, but it's also about ownership. It's about transforming our economy. It's making sure that the benefits of the Photonics Center are broad-based and not narrow. It's also about geographic, and I think of the four, one is based in KZN, but I think we still need to grapple with the spatial dimension of this, and hopefully it's a discussion we would have. We don't want to overload the CSR with it. So I don't want to say more. Everyone understands the transformation challenge, but I think we need to make sure that it happens at all levels through facilities like this. The second is the partnerships, and I'm glad there are a number of key industrial players here. We also need to build and strengthen that, but the partnerships go beyond industry. In particular, the one area that I think we need to strengthen our partnerships is with the skills system. The innovation system and the skills system are now under one ministry. We need to bring that a lot more closer together. There's a lot of opportunity areas, and we need to integrate some of those. I'm glad that there's been some very good efforts by the CSR to establish partnerships with the CETAs, etc. Let's see how we can build on that and work together to take that forward. The third challenge is ensuring that this center is aligned with overall government objectives and vision. And this also means being able to get good statistics, good data to allow us to monitor and evaluate. We are under constant pressure to present to cluster and to cabinet what is being achieved, and we need to be able to do this. That calls for very good data systems, where at the press of a button we'll be able to say, over the past 5 years we've been supporting so many, be able to do follow-up engagements with the companies we support, how has this helped your business, etc. This is critical for us, because in an environment of fiscal constraint, that department that shows the most value and the return of investment is the one that's going to attract funding. And we do need the CSR and its entities to provide us with the data. It's been something that I think we need to jointly improve. It's something that we are a bit weak in as the science system. And obviously marketing comes with it. Sell your stories, make sure that this facility is in the public eye. And the final key requirement that I want to highlight is the need to remain applications focused. But applications focused not in a generic sense, but also in a targeted sense. We need to look at those critical challenges that characterize our development pathway, our health challenges, our industrial development challenges, and focus attention on building both the core research, the fundamental research, and the application research around our areas. Obviously, that doesn't mean that we don't play in the leagues that are there, but let's use a lot more our strengths, our own challenges, because at the governmental level, we are looking at ways of ensuring that we strengthen public procurement and other measures so that we can use our own products. But centers like the PPF then have to be ready to be able to do that. So I hope those are some requirements and challenges that is not yours alone. It's our collective responsibility to take forward, and I look forward to taking those forward with the whole package of industrial development centers. It would be remiss of me to, beyond extending thanks to the Minister and the DG for the leadership and the support, is also to thank two colleagues who are in the background who I know, in particular, both of them joined the DSI at the early days. They've grown up with the industrial development centers. This has been part of the, so this represents a very important, I think, a personal milestone as well. And that's to Sunita Kalan and Chiangwi Mudzirani, our team in a section called Sector and Local Innovation, who's been the primary interface for the CSR. And every time I read the briefing notes, I say, oh, a lot has happened in this year. So we look forward to working with their team and the DG and others to really take forward this center, together with other centers and the broader industrial development efforts of the CSR, and interface this a lot more strongly into the economic recovery and reconstruction strategy, as well as the National Development Plan, because I think we move from plan to plan, but we are guided by the need to focus on those core challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. So I thank you, and I look forward to actually visiting the facility. I haven't, and taking it forward together with the CSR and the PPF leadership. Thank you.
I'd now like to call on Dr. Phil Mdwacha, the Director General of the DSI, just to give us a few words.
Thanks very much, Darrell, and thanks to everyone here and the ones that are joined through the live stream. We agreed that Imran would go ahead because I wasn't going to join you today. But things changed, so I didn't want to be unfair to him, having prepared and looking forward to be in front of the cameras. So I said he will continue, but I will just add a few words. The first one is, some of you would probably be angry with me if I repeat the story, but I like it because I think it, in a sense, contextualizes why we're here today. The story of this young man who was in a train from Kansas City with a friend to Hollywood. You know the story? Have I told you the story before? And in the train, the other one asks this person, where are you up to? And he says, I'm going to Hollywood. And this one will say, what are you going to do in Hollywood? He says, we are going to make great movies. Dr. Morpher. This other one says, have you made any movie? He says, no, I haven't. You know? Fast forward a couple of years later, who is this person in Hollywood who is known for having made the greatest cartoons, movies of cartoons? Walt Disney. So I suspect that where we are now and where we come from, this story epitomizes that we are now at the cusp, if that's the correct English word, of moving from Kansas City with your strategy, including this PPF facility, to Hollywood. So we look forward to you making these movies, as Imran have said. And one of the reasons why we think this is also important is that a couple of months ago, 2 months or so, we were asked to present to the last Cabinet Lekgotla as a department how innovation can support economic reconstruction and recovery, and how science and innovation in the next 10 years is going to help the country to transform the economy. We did the presentation. It was about a 45-minute presentation. We've never had so much interest from Cabinet around the work that you guys are doing. It was amazing. Minister later called me and said he got a call from Minister Mantashe who said, I've never known that this is what you do in science and innovation. Recently, with the work that we've been doing on genomic surveillance, we briefed the president. There was a special cabinet to talk about what the scientists have done in the sequencing of the coronavirus genome. And the findings that were 2 days ago published around how this variant, if you take this, the plasma from people who have been infected with this, it seems to have these antibodies, unique antibodies, that neutralizes this variant. And of course, the previous infected people, which means that for the first time in the world, South Africa has made a discovery of how you can design vaccines. If, of course, we can find out where and how do these antibodies get generated. It's a breakthrough. Where does it come from? This country, from yourselves as scientists. So that's what I mean, that we are at the verge of just making sure that everybody appreciates what we do as the science community. So I just want to then reiterate this point that Imran has made, that don't underestimate what you're doing. You may be sitting in these laboratories, having your laser goggles, so you protect yourself from the lasers. I should know this. It doesn't end there, as Imran says. It's about us taking this journey going forward. So that's the first point I wanted to make. The second point is just also, as Imran has said, to remind you of what Nelson Mandela said, that when you go over one hill, you suddenly realize, oh gosh, there are 10 and many other hills after this one. So this will happen, but as the Department of Science and Innovation will be right behind you to make sure that those hills are flattened, but also with the hope that those hills are the hills where we will stand at the top and look back at what we have achieved. Those of you who have been to Mpumalanga in a place called God's Window, those are the hills that we're going to, where you stand at the top and you look down and you say, wow. So that's the second point. And then the third point, and the last one, Terrell, I see you nervous now that the DG as an old person is going to go on for a long time. I won't. I am, as it's been announced, almost at the end of my career. So I'm so excited about this, that I hope that the CEO and the staff would remember that I do have a degree in the physics area and in the laser field. And if you're looking for people who you're not going to pay a lot of money to continue to do this work for you relatively free, I am available. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's now time to unveil the plaque that will be positioned outside the facility. So I'd like to call on Dr. Dlamini and Dr. Mjwara to please make your way to the plaque so we can unveil. I would now like to call on Dr. Motodi Masirumule, the CSR Group Executive of Mining, Manufacturing, Defense and Security, to give us a vote of thanks.
Thank you. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the Department of Science and Innovation, the DG, the executives, CEO, CSIR, and the executives, the staff of this center for wonderful work that warrants the investment made. I would like to also thank people zooming in for making their time for this auspicious occasion. And on that, I would like to just reflect a little bit that for us within the CSIR, we see this as part of a well-run marathon by the ecosystem, led by yourselves as the Department of Science and Innovation. We know there are many tentacles that are propping up the entire ecosystem, the entire system of innovation. And this is one of the critical infrastructure that's required. And indeed, the timing is remarkable. The CSR strategy, this sits smack bang in the middle of that. And we are incredibly we are appreciative. We know that the resources are constrained more and more, but we appreciate the consistency with which the system is being supported. We appreciate the sacrifices that have been made, the opportunity costs, but also we appreciate the opportunities sitting at the end of the outcomes and outputs that come out of this. We appreciate the industry players here today. They represent, them being here represents a pipeline that is working, that we together identify opportunities and bring them to life. So the strategy that is being implemented is really, we're screaming for participation of that type consistently throughout, and we are wishing you stamina as the department with the challenges that lie ahead in terms of funds being scarce. We will pull our weight, and we wish the industry the stamina. We wish the staff here and throughout the entire R&D community the stamina and the resolve to push ahead. And we're incredibly appreciative. Thanks a lot, everyone.
That brings the end to the proceedings of the launch of the Photonics prototyping facility. I'd like to thank all of our guests in-house, and I'd like to thank everybody who was part of this launch streaming online. I'd now like to take the dignitaries down for a tour of the facility. So if you could please follow me downstairs.
Thanks, Dale. You have to carry them. Huh? You have to carry